the radar lane keeping. You can see it's got an image of the car in the middle here and the lines on the side. If you're going 70 kilometers an hour or more and you get too close to the line, it'll beep and go orange. If you go over the line, the white lines on the road, it'll go red, and it'll adjust the angle of the wheels and move the steering wheel not too aggressively, certainly not as aggressively as other cars I've been in, but it'll move the steering wheel back into the centre to adjust your lane. I quite like that feature. It's not something I've ever had before or something I would really buy a car because it had that, but it's quite handy to have. It's certainly moved me back into the lane a few times when I've been creeping over. The other thing that's got me out of trouble, I suppose, is the speed control. So it sees the speed signs as you drive and puts the speed on here, and then if you go more than 3k above that, it flashes and beeps to indicate that you're exceeding the speed limit. So you adjust your speed, hopefully back down automatically. You can open the boot also. Talking about the boot opening, there's a manual button on here to open the boot. One thing that I didn't know about that is if the boot is open, you can use that button to close the boot, or you can use the voice commands. So you can say things like,
"I'm listening.
Close lift gate."
The lift gate is already closed.
Obviously it's closed, so let me just open it. It shows you a visual of the car with the boot opening. So I can say,
"I'm listening.
Close lift gate."
Okay, I'm closing the lift gate.
And it will close the boot for you without having to get out of the car. So again, if you've got a passenger that's maybe collecting shopping, opening and closing it from inside the cabin, especially if it's raining, is really handy. It took me a while to figure out that it was called the lift gate. Typically I would call it the boot. I suppose Americans would call it the trunk. Even some Australians would call it the trunk. But I would call it the boot. Calling it the lift gate took me a little bit of looking up to figure that out. But one thing you can do with the voice commands is, if I press the voice command again,
"I'm listening.
Show me what you can do.
I can help you with many things. Try asking me to adjust the AC.
So if you ask it what it can do,
Sorry, again?
Cancel.
Okay, cancelled.
That's a good point. So if you do have the voice activation on and you say hello Chery or something like that, it automatically pops up, but you can just say cancel to cancel it. But if you ask what it can do, it pops up with a screen and you can cycle through what it can do with the voice commands. Things like air conditioning. See, it calls it trunk here, but it says lift gate. So I don't know why it wouldn't say trunk, but I suppose for different markets they've called it lift gate. There's a whole myriad of things it can do. I don't use it a lot, but I do use my phone and take and receive phone calls from the car. Again, steering wheel controls or voice activation to close and take and receive calls is pretty handy. The Android Auto integration is really helpful. I love that. Just stop it to save waste of petrol. I find it quite economical. The fuel economy is pretty good. It's a 1.5 turbo engine, which is pretty responsive. Certainly is responsive enough for me, but find it pretty fuel efficient. One thing that I think is a good feature, but I do turn it off now and again, is when you start the car and drive, it won't release the handbrake until you've put your seatbelt on, which is great. But if you're manoeuvring it in your driveway, it can be a bit of a pain. But you can't manually operate the handbrake by pressing or pulling this little button here. So if I'm manoeuvring it in the driveway without having to put my seatbelt on, it's quite handy to be able to manually override the seatbelt function with this button. Cup holders, I've got some change in there at the moment. It's quite handy, especially I like the way these illuminate at night. You can change the colour, so you've got illuminated strips in here in the cup holders. You've also got illuminated sections. You won't see it because there's daylight and the lights aren't on, but you've got illuminated sections in the doors and in the dash, which I do really like. You've got electrically operated driver's seat positioning, and same with the passenger seat. Quite a lot of storage, both in the doors. Under the centre console, there's a space there for storage, especially things that might leak. It's got a rubber base, so takeaways or McDonald's or whatever, I tend to chuck in there. We've also got a large storage compartment here that goes right under the cup holders. So it's quite a large bin anyway. It goes even deeper under the cup holders, and that's got an air conditioning vent in it, so it can be heated or cooled depending on your air conditioning settings, which I really like. As well as the looks outside, I think the looks inside the car are really nice. It's got a nice cabin layout. The steering wheel feels great with this leather or pleather covering. The gear selector is really nice. There is a manual option. There's buttons on the side of the gear selector to change gear manually. I haven't really used that too much. I learned to drive in a manual car, but I quite like driving an automatic, so I just leave it in automatic now. Just getting back to the steering wheel, there's an option here for cruise control, which to be honest I haven't played about with too much, but you can press the button to set, and it'll set the speed that you're going at, and then you can adjust that up and down. You can also adjust how close or far you want it to maintain the distance to the car in front. So it's got adaptive radar cruise control, which, as I say, I haven't really played about with too much. You've got a mode button down here that changes from eco to sport mode. Again, I tend to just leave it in eco mode. Sport mode does give you a little bit more peppy acceleration and heavier steering for higher speeds or motorway trips, which I don't really use that much, but some people might need that. Phone charging, you've got a phone charging pad here, which I use a lot. You've also got various USB ports down underneath the console, and also up above, behind the mirror, you've got some USB ports. So I haven't fitted a camera yet, but I think I will, and use the USB ports there to power it up. Plenty of room in the back. I've had 5 adults in the car, so obviously myself, passenger, and 3 in the back, and they've all commented on how much space and leg room they've got. You've got quite good armrests for driving. Both the centre console has got a squishy pleather armrest, so you can rest your left arm when you're driving, and in the door you've got quite a good and soft door handle and a reasonably positioned lip underneath the window. So all in all, I'm extremely happy with the car. The sound system is good. You've got Sony speakers, so you've got surround sound. The radio and Android Auto integration are great, so I can play Spotify from my phone on the Android Auto. Some people have a problem with the Apple version, but I find Android Auto works really well. It connects first time I enter the car. I've got Bluetooth on my phone enabled, connects the car through Bluetooth, and I've got access to my maps. I've got access to things like Spotify, phone integration, obviously. There is an electronic manual in here. As I say, you can ask Chery what it can do and it'll tell you, but you've got options to scroll through that as required. You've got an option to look at more of the voice functions in here. Like I said, it'll list what it can and can't do. So the phone integration, you can obviously, it'll bring up a pad and you can dial the number, but I can also say things like if I've got favourites in my phone and it's got integration, let me just put this back to the main menu again. I can say things like call Thomas. Well, press the button on the dash.
Yes, I'm here.
Call Thomas.
Thomas, right?
Yes.
Sure. Calling Thomas.